It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Happy Friday, everybody. I am obviously not Michael Patrick Leahy. I will be filling in for him for the first hour today. Welcome to the EJ Host Show. I am going to fill in because he needs a bit of a break. He has been on air for hours already, filling in for John Fredericks. So welcome today to the first hour of the show with a new face and a new voice for you. We're going to keep it pretty simple, though, and follow a pretty similar format just to keep everybody right on time with this. We're going to bring you the morning rundown brought to you by the Glock Store. All right, Doge. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are all the talk on Capitol Hill yesterday to meet with senators, congressmen, and women and the Speaker of the House. Big media buzz. Everybody wanted to get a little piece of the Vivek and Elon show. The media went a little nutty about it. Reporters shouted lots of wild questions at Elon as he walked into the meeting. He had his son up on his shoulders. That seems to be a thing that he does now on occasion, I guess. Musk didn't answer any questions being shouted at him except for one. A reporter screamed, "Elon, do you want Democrats in Doge?" To which Elon replied, "Yes," and then kept walking. So we didn't get a whole lot of information out of Elon and Vivek. We'll talk more about all of this later. And if the reports about Iowa Senator Joni Ernst are true, Elon may already have a Democrat on the team. I'll explain a little later. Number 2. Pete Hegseth, Trump's nominee for the Department of Defense, Secretary of Defense, continues to make the rounds and meet with senators amid allegations of sexual improprieties and the exposure of his personal life, and now seemingly unwarranted accusations of an alcohol problem, money mismanagement, all of those kinds of things. You're going to hear everybody around the water cooler today at work talking about that, and probably in through the weekend. Number 3, as I told you just a couple of weeks ago, if you're a regular listener to the show, the radical Looney Tunes activists, leftists with the blue hair, with their weird sexual kinks and fetishes, descended on the ladies' rooms at the Capitol. If you recall, I said when Nancy Mace, Congresswoman Mace, put out a bill, and then Speaker Johnson just made a flat-out rule that men could not use women's restrooms in the Capitol grounds and building, that the radical lefties would, in fact, protest and make a big deal out of it. It turns out that's true. We actually have some video of that. If you are on X, it's kind of everywhere. So I'm sure some folks will be talking about that this weekend also. And finally, wrapping up our morning rundown, more information on the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson is coming out. Video and still images of the shooter have been released to the public. And of course, news media is just really going bananas, posting them everywhere. We've learned a few more details in this story, though. The shooter stayed at a youth hostel in New York. So maybe that's some clues as to the age. After taking a Greyhound bus to New York from Atlanta. So it seems with this kind of information, authorities probably know who this person is. Per reports, the shooter got a water from Starbucks, tossed that water bottle into the trash before shooting in the back, in the leg, this Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare. We also learned that the bullet casings have the words deny, defend, and depose on them. Curious. Interesting, I think. Why would that information be released if they weren't already trying to kind of maybe throw a narrative at us? But that's interesting information. Police think that they are hot on the trail of the shooter, who calmly left the scene on foot and hopped on a city e-bike before disappearing into Central Park. Now, listen, many sleuths on social media and across, alternative forms of media have some interesting discrepancies to note about the still images and video that we've seen. The backpack is different in some of the images. The jacket pockets are not the same. Even the color of the coat or the jacket is not exactly right. So some have even said that the facial structure in the surveillance footage from different locations don't match. So we'll have to see what comes of all of this. But definitely take a peek and see if you can find some of those pictures out there and decide for yourself. So there you have it. That is the morning rundown for Friday. And let me say, brought to you by the Glock Store. Now, I'm going to read this directly from Lenny McGill, a founder of the Glock Store and good personal friend of Michael Patrick Leahy. And he has shared this information with us because he wants it shared with you. He said that the Black Friday deal days were a huge success. I was happy to share that deal days success talk with you and special with you back before Thanksgiving. So how cool that it was such a wild success for the Glock Store. Obviously an uptick in sales in cities that get the Michael Patrick Leahy show. So thank you for that. We appreciate your support. Lenny McGill appreciates your support, and you make this program happen with your support. Now, if you missed out on a few of the deals, don't worry. They will be launching their Christmas sales soon enough. Even more great deals on Glocks, performance parts, and all that great accessories that they stock. And they only stock the best because they personally test each one. If Lenny doesn't like it, it doesn't get on, period. And if he really likes a product, he features them on his incredible YouTube channel that has over 500,000 subscribers. There's like almost 1,000 videos over there, so definitely check that out. And a 99% thumbs up rating. If you aren't a fan yet, go to youtube.com/@GlockStore. That's that's the @ sign, not an A and a T. So @Glock Store. And don't forget to go to glockstore.com and sign up for their weekly sales letters. You'll even get a link to the latest Lenny video every Wednesday afternoon. I'm proud that Lenny McGill is a friend and a sponsor of this program. I know Michael Patrick Leahy is also. Please visit theglockstore.com today, or excuse me, glockstore.com. Very important, not the Glock Store. www.glockstore.com today, and you'll be glad you did, and so will we. All right, so with so very much to talk about today, let's just dive right in. As I mentioned in the morning roundup there, or the talk of the town in Capitol Hill and all over DC is this big Doge meeting that happened yesterday. There was a really impressive invite list. And of course, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, co-chairs of this newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, which is basically best described as a government adjacent committee that Trump and company have formed to identify waste and abuse and areas where the federal government can be more fiscally efficient. And I think that that's, anybody opposed to that has got to just be off their rocker, right? I mean, of course we want government efficiency. It's our money. We pay into the program, so we'd like to get a little something out of it, right? So they're identifying all these ways to kind of clean up the budget, make government work for the people, that sort of thing. Musk and Ramaswamy met with Speaker Mike Johnson and then a handful of senators, congressmen, congresswomen, and the idea was to start brainstorming ideas. Now, what I think is really interesting, this was obviously a formal meeting, but the senators and congressmen coming out of the meeting and their reactions to it all. Now, you're going to hear some that were really excited about it and others who have a little skepticism. After we come back from the break, I've got a couple of clips for you from these congresspeople that were in this meeting that I think you'll find really interesting. Thanks for joining us on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Stick with us.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of The Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hello, everybody. EJ Host here, filling in for the great Michael Patrick Leahy, just for a little while. Don't worry. He's coming back in a little bit. So you've got me to kind of bridge the gap here between your morning coffee and the intense and entertainment of Michael Patrick Leahy that will give you all of the news and information that you need with a really great twist. In the meantime, I am here to fill in and talk all things Doge. So Department of Government Efficiency had a big meeting yesterday. Remember, this is not an official department within any sort of government agency. This is actually what I'm calling a government adjacent. It's more like a consultative thing. So Donald Trump, after winning the election, had made the commitment to Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy that they would be able to come in and help Donald Trump and his team determine where there are efficiencies in government. So I think everybody's kind of aware of what's going on with that now. But this meeting yesterday was really interesting. So we didn't get a ton of details after the meeting from certainly, and no formal announcement from Elon or Vivek or anything like that. But we did get the reactions from senators and congresspeople who left the room. And I found it interesting that it wasn't all smiles. Some folks aren't all that optimistic. So, of course, being the curious person I am, I decided to figure out why. And so I listened to some of these, and I want to play one for you, specifically from Tennessee's Tim Burchett. He's a Tennessee 02 congressman. He's in the 2nd Congressional District here. And he left the meeting and bumped into Chip Roy also, and their exchange is pretty interesting. This is a selfie video that he's taking himself, so bear with the quality of the video and the audio, but I think it's worth listening to. Listen not just to the words, but to the tone.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett, just leaving the Doge meeting with Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy, and I think the key to the whole thing is going to be, the key to the whole thing is in that room. If Congress doesn't have the guts to do those things that they're talking real big about, it's just a waste of time. They'll do away with executive orders and unelected bureaucrats who put rules and regulations on us. But if Congress doesn't have the guts, and that's what scares me. You know, I vote against a lot of stuff. There'll be 15 or so red dots on the board, which means we voted against horrible spending, and there'll be about 400 green lights on the board, and that's going to be the problem. My friend Chip Roy is right here.
Chip,
hey,
how are you?
Knox, East Tennessee.
Great
everybody.
Americans?
I was just telling them that the problem's in that room.
That's what I just said.
Yeah,
yep.
100%, and that we've got to have the guts to pull the trigger on
our
this
friends
stuff.
Elon and Vivek can do a good job exposing it, but then we got to actually do our job. So I hope they do it, and then we'll have to hold our colleagues accountable.
Right on.
Brother.
Amen. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for sitting here.
How about that? So, consultative in nature as an organization, we all know that. They don't have any power at the DOGE, or Department of Government Efficiency. Elon can't make rules. Vivek can't deregulate anything. But they're not there to do that. They're there to advise. They're there to expose. And then it is up to Congress to actually take action. So I found it interesting, number one, who hangs out with whom, right? So love that Tennessee's Burchett is hanging out with Chip Roy. That's our power couple right there. Very happy with that. But disappointing that that's the tone, because I think what he's saying here is he doesn't have a lot of confidence that Vivek and Elon's ideas will be able to take shape. And there's a lot of reasons why. Somebody else who had a reaction to that is Marsha Blackburn. Now, Marsha Blackburn, very polished, also from Tennessee, senator from Tennessee, and typically jumps on opportunities in a more positive way to like publicly put things out there. So she's not really the selfie walking through the halls kind of person like Tim Burchett is. But her reaction was to come out with this big statement and make some bold moves. Let's listen to her.
Well, we've got a great meeting this afternoon coming up with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Looking forward to that. And earlier today, I have gotten the DOGE Act filed. It is in the hopper. What this will do is freeze federal salaries and federal hiring so that we can begin to get our arms around this bloated federal government and begin to make the cuts that are necessary for us to be free, to be a sovereign nation for our kids and grandkids.
So there you have it. So she's obviously taking a different approach and trying to submit a bill and try and get some things actually through the halls of Congress, which I think is terrific. I think Burchett and Roy would also be on board with anything that she's proposing there. So it's nice to see folks from both chambers that are, speaking out and saying what they think will come of this this Department of Government Efficiency. But let's remember how things work in D.C. So for those who've never been there, and this happens in your state capital too, anybody who gets the chance to go to your state capital, I highly encourage it. Go there and start to meet your representatives, meet those people in leadership. They will meet with you. They're actually typically pretty approachable. And if they aren't, that's telling too. But go see how this works. Hang around in the cafe, hang around in the hallways a little bit. Find out who's, pulling up in their really expensive vehicles and who, took a cab, that sort of thing. It's very revealing. But DC works basically like this. Elected officials really, really love their power, both real and perceived. So getting things done tends to take a long time. They work hard to network with like lobbyists and leadership teams, fundraising. They do a lot of fundraising up there, talking to the big donors and that sort of thing. They really love the camera. They really love the attention. These are people who, by and large, and there are obviously some exceptions to the rule, Tim Burchett being one of them, that are really there more for the fame and the attention and the power and that sort of thing. We have to acknowledge that that is a thing that happens up on Capitol Hill. And then also think of all the special interests that are involved. Now, I'm going to talk about Joni Ernst in a little bit. Hopefully, we'll have time for that in the second hour here. But I think we have to remember how this works. And those who are opposed or having trouble with Elon and Vivek having big ideas and brainstorming and putting these things out there and then being disappointed that they don't think Congress will do it, we have to hold their feet to the fire. That's kind of up to us at this point, as voters, as constituents, as people who just live in this country and want some of these big ideas to take shape. And I think Marsha Blackburn did a good job of kind of setting that in stone before they even had the meeting. And now we can talk about that going out. One of my favorite clips of the day from yesterday is Rand Paul completely undressing Joe Scarborough when he was asked about it on Martha McCallum's show yesterday. Do we have that clip too?
I want to play this from Joe Scarborough today, because this is the mentality that you're going to hear, I think, from a lot of members who are very reliant on the spending, the lobbyists, the pharmaceutical companies, the people who give them a lot of money for their campaigns. Watch this.
The United States government has already spent 80% of its budget on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, vets, defense, and interest on the debt. This is a scam unless they're going to slash Social Security and Medicare and and Veterans Affairs. They're never going to get to $2 trillion.
Can't be done. Can't be done, Senator. What do you say?
Oh, poor Joe Scarborough. I remember when he was a conservative. You know, when he was a conservative Republican, he actually voted against expanding Medicare into Medicare Part D, this extra part to make Medicare bigger because he thought it might bankrupt the country. Yep. So there was a time when he actually was a thoughtful person, but no longer.
We're running up to the break here, so we won't watch the whole clip, but catch us after the break here, and we'll have a little bit more. Rand Paul, always great to watch. Thank goodness for that. You're listening to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Stick around. When we come back, we've got a lot more topics, and we'll get into all the things that are happening up on Capitol Hill, in addition to Doge.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. EJ Haast is here. She's been sitting in for me first hour.
Tag teaming this morning.
Teaming this morning. On our Newsmaker line right now, our Zoom Newsmaker line right now, is a very good friend, Todd Bensman, senior fellow at the Center for Immigration Studies, just back from Mexico City. Todd, what did you find down there? You were hiding out with the migrants and hiding from the police. What's the story there?
Well, there's a lot going on just from the mere utterance of campaign words by Donald Trump has just really caused havoc down there in the migrant camps that are spread all around. Their informal camps all over Mexico City. That's what I've been doing this week, just sort of wandering around and interviewing immigrants about their plans. And I'd say that kind of the first takeaway is that Trump's promise to eliminate the CBP-1 phone app, the big Biden-Harris program outside of Congress that allows them to apply for their illegal entries, and then the U.S. government illegally brings them in over the bridges, over the ports. They brought in 1.5 million people that way over the last year and a half, 2 years. That is gone probably on January 20th or very shortly thereafter. And so my question to everybody down there was, what are you going to do then? Because all of them are in line for the CBP-1. And the majority of the answers I got was, we're going home. We're going to turn around and just go home. So then, obviously, that's an incredible desired impact. I mean, I think that people were speculating, especially on the other side, well, if you get rid of CBP-1, there'll be an actual surge on the border. That doesn't look like it's going to be the case. I mean, they've lost heart from what I've been able to gather down there talking to them, many dozens, by the way. Others are not going to go home because home's too far away, but they're just going to stay in Mexico and settle there. So they're not going to try to come across, they said, because they're worried about the Trump deportation program that they're promising. So these two things in conjunction are just, working to sort of remove any plan or hope or desire to cross the border and get into the United States. So that was, I think, a kind of a surprise for me, because I thought there might be a surge also when they got rid of CBP-1.
There have been some reports of a surge, and I saw these. They were apparently live, I guess earlier this week, images of thousands of people walking. But I noticed that they were from the Chiapas, which is that's southern Mexico, right?
Right. They're not getting through because of another thing that Trump has done, which is to threaten tariffs against Mexico if Claudia Sheinbaum didn't use her military and immigration services and police to block them from coming north. And as a result, Sheinbaum's forces have been breaking up those caravans before they can get north of Mexico City.
They have been breaking them up.
Oh, absolutely breaking them up.
Interesting. The first-hand report. So you went down, when we talked to you previously, you'd gone down to southern Mexico. This time you spent, just this week, I guess, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in Mexico City?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I flew home yesterday.
And
I still haven't slept it off, but I did shave the beard. So,
so just for our listeners, how far is Mexico City from the southern border of the United States?
It's far. I mean, it's 1,000 miles. I'm not exactly sure how the crow flies or on the roads, but it's in southern central Mexico. It's way, way down there.
So you were there. You said, were there a bunch of there was a little bit about you guys. You were with a bunch of migrants who were like hiding from the police. Describe that for us.
So there is a rumor going on around right now, sweeping the camps, that the Biden-Harris administration is going to suddenly let everybody in on International Migrants Day, a UN-declared holiday.
I didn't know we had an International Migrants Day. When is that? When is that?
The United Nations has an International Migrants Day, and The rumor down there, probably spread by smugglers, is that Biden Harris is going to let everybody in on that day. Everybody gets in. The Mexicans are going to relent, and everybody gets in. So there's this. There are those who are on the CBP-1 wait line who are like, we're not waiting. We're not going to. They're going to cancel it. So let's get in now. So they're trying to take freight trains. Uh, but the problem is Trump's trade tariff threat has got the Claudia Sheinbaum administration using troops to pull them off the trains and block them from getting on the trains.
No,
And
they're literally taking them off the trains.
literally taking them off the trains. I saw it with my own eyes.
You saw it with your own eyes. Wow.
Yes. And so I'll be writing more about that. What I experienced. I was hiding in a landfill with them for like 8 hours straight.
So hold it. How does it come about? Where in Mexico City was this landfill? How many were there? And when you say hiding, what describe that for us? Because I'm kind of getting a little nervous for you, Todd.
Well, so I mentioned that Trump's trade tariffs are, having this effect where Sheinbaum has got the troops out. They're hunting migrants. Anybody who's trying to get north of Mexico City, they'll catch them and drive them all the way back to Tapachula.
Tapachula is in the far south, right?
Yeah, in the far south. They've been doing this for Biden and Harris as a favor or a paid job. I'm not sure which it is, for almost a year now. For the campaign, it looked terrible to have all those immigrants pouring over the border. So Biden and Harris have been doing it, and Trump came out and said, you better keep doing it for me or else. So they are doing it for him or else. And that's why the migrants are hiding. They're not out in the open. They know that those trains are a big target.
EJ Haas has a question.
I have a quick question for you. How is communication happening among those in these caravans and in the surge? Like, you're saying that Trump is doing this and Sheinbaum doing that, and how are the migrants themselves getting that information?
Now, that's a good question. I've never met a migrant yet in 3-4 years of being down there who didn't have a modern cell phone fully connected to the internet and social media and encrypted chat rooms.
Can you pause just a moment on that? You've been down there 3 or 4 years. You have yet to meet a single migrant who didn't have a cell phone.
That's right. And I mean, the most modern, best cell phones that money can buy.
No flip phones, huh?
It's a central ingredient to mass migration because it's flash crowd, kind of thing going on. They have instantaneous access to instantaneous intelligence from people who are at the U.S. border.
So who's sending them the messages? Where are they getting that information?
Their friends and relatives.
Got it.
In chat rooms and people that they know, and they join the chat room, and people upstream are going, okay, go left. They're blocking us here. Go to the right. The Mexicans are at the train depot at this town. So, get off before you get to the depot. And that's how it works.
Wow. And so I want to get back to this landfill where you, how many illegal migrants were you hiding out with? How did they come to trust you to say, I'm going to hide out with you while the police are looking for you? And describe the landfill and the time.
Right. Well, so, this is a town about 50 miles north of Mexico City. And I learned while I was in the migrant camps in Mexico City about where it was. So I had people describe to me exactly where to go. So I went out there with my translator, and we were driving along the tracks and saw some movement in the brush and realized that there was a group up there on the hill. And I just got out of the car and said, "Hey, mi amigos, we're not immigration or soldiers. You can come out." And so 30 or 50 of them all of a sudden show up out of the brush.
But that's like a scene from a movie,
right?
Right. They're hiding from Claudia Sheinbaum's troops.
Wow. And so then what happens? They come out and
They
do
know
they?
this stretch of railroad is patrolled.
Ah,
Oh, I spent time. I'm going to write about this and show and do video here, so I don't want to give up too much.
just give up a little bit, Todd. Come on.
I have. I've given you good. But the point is, I haven't produced my material yet on this. But the point is that they're not all of them are going home yet. There are some that are making a final stab at it, and the Claudia Sheinbaum administration is working hard against them, fearing these trade tariffs. And anyway, so the what happened is, the they got wind that immigration was flanking them in the brush behind, and so we all got up and ran across. There was a giant landfill across the railroad tracks, and we ended up hiding in there for the rest of the day. So that's about as much as I'll give you on that.
But aren't you concerned for your personal safety, Todd, when this happens?
And I don't know. I've been doing this for a while. I judge the people that I'm around and with, and make sure that everybody knows I'm no pushover. There's going to be trouble.
Todd, I can tell you, because you're wearing a jacket and a blue shirt right now. If you rip that blue shirt off, I think there's a big red S underneath there. Don't you think?
Whatever. Yeah. I mean, the point is and there's two of us. I'm usually with a translator, so there's nobody's bothering me. Or if I feel like there's trouble with somebody, I'll probably leave or whatever. I just judge it, and I don't know why they talk to me. Eventually, they just let me hang out with them, and
you're very likable.
Yeah.
But I think you engender confidence. I mean, you're easy to talk to, and you're sympathetic to the cause, their cause. You understand what their motivations are. So here we are. We're 44 days until Trump becomes 47. What you're telling us is you don't see any big migrant caravan coming from Mexico into the United States during these next 44 days.
No, and remember when I was in Tapachula last month, down there were hundreds of thousands down there that had been brought back by this Mexican operation from the northern border, and they were trapped down there. The reason that the caravans were forming were not to get to the U.S. border; they were to get out of Tapachula, which had become untenable, too crowded. So the government was actually allowing these caravans to form, and then they were escorting them to other cities within Chiapas, not to the U.S. border. They were just trying to distribute them to decompress. The caravans are just a decompression operation by the Mexican
those
government.
are the videos that we see this week, and that have been mislabeled by some as caravans to the border.
Everybody's getting that wrong. None of those are coming to the U.S. border.
Well, you helped us get it right, and you're a very brave guy, much braver than I am, Todd. Thanks so much for doing that. And
I was with one of the caravans all day long last month, and nobody in the caravan thought that they were getting to the U.S. They thought they were getting to this other city in Chiapas.
Wow.
Todd Bensman with Center for Immigration Studies. Great work. Come back with more. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Wow, that's great. EJ?
Incredible.
You've got the next segment. It's all you.
All
and then
me.
I'm back for the next hour.
Sweet.
Thanks, EJ.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Tag teaming today with Michael Patrick Leahy, I am EJ Host. You can find me on X at EJ Under the Radar. Please go there, communicate with me. I love hearing what folks out there are saying about the show and then what you wish we would talk about, because that always seems to come up when the show is over. So today, though, I mentioned earlier about Joni Ernst and her, I'm calling her squishy. She's not exactly saying she won't support Pete Hegseth, but she isn't saying that she will. And I personally find that troubling. Now, and you'll hear a lot of news stories about it, lots of clips and all sorts of things. But Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, checkered past, right? Like he's got some things in his personal life that probably he's not so proud of, right? But Joni Ernst comes from a deep red state. Iowa is all Trump all the time, right? So interesting that she wouldn't be all in on Trump's nominee. Let's listen to what she told Fox News yesterday.
Okay, it doesn't sound on your answer that you've gotten to a yes. If I'm wrong about that, correct me. And if that is the case, it sounds to me as if the hearing will be critical for his nomination. Am I right about that?
I think you are right. I think for a number of our senators, they want to make sure that any allegations have been cleared, and that's why we have to have a very thorough vetting process. And that's why I was happy to sit down.
In the interest of time, we can listen to her go on and on. She basically sounds like Nancy Pelosi, for Pete's sake. So I find it troubling. I don't know how I feel about her on a lot of other things, but I do know that I don't love that she has an elevated role within this Doge caucus. So I decided to do a little digging last night to kind of really figure out what her motives might be and that sort of thing. Right away, found the Des Moines Register, and I'm going to read you a quote. Iowa's Republican Senators Joni Ernst and Chuck Grassley broke with their party to vote for a $95 billion foreign aid bill, and this was in February of this last year. The 70-29 vote kicks the funding bill over to the House, where Speaker Mike Johnson has said his chamber will not consider the legislation because it does not include border security, blah, 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 blah. In other words, Joni Ernst voted against the party, against the GOP, and in favor of Ukraine and lots of money in Ukraine as early as last February. So, warranted a little more digging. Guess which state employs a lot of voters, employs a lot of people, the state that employs a lot of people who directly benefit from huge spending bills for munitions in Ukraine? If you guessed Iowa, give yourself a gold star. The Iowa Army Ammunition Plant is a U.S. federal government-owned, contractor-operated facility that loads, assembles, and packs medium and large caliber rounds for, you guessed it, Ukraine. So, could that be why Senator Ernst is so war-ish for Ukraine? Is this why she voted in favor of funding? Keeping in mind that her constituents have jobs that depend on that. It does get worse, however. I took a few more notes. Ernst votes in favor of nearly every omnibus, minibus, and spending bill put before the Senate. She is a big spender. She votes about 30% of the time, in line with President Joe Biden's positions. Why are we giving Joni Ernst a seat at the table with Doge when she likes to spend so much money and quite honestly spend so much money in other countries? Not a huge fan of that. She's also not just okay with transgenderism in our military. She's spoken out publicly for it. I'm not going to put you through listening to that because it'll make you sick to your stomach. But she definitely votes in favor of the radical Democrat activists more often than acting like a Republican. And then finally, let's not forget that Joni Ernst doesn't exactly have the most squeaky clean personal past either. Okay. Michael Patrick Leahy has mentioned it before. You'll probably hear it come out a little more often now. But her calling out Hegseth for his previous issues in previous marriages is not becoming. People who live in glass houses probably shouldn't throw stones. Look, everyone makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Heck, Donald Trump obviously has his own interesting past that he's had to contend with. All I'm saying is that Joni Ernst is walking a really interesting line here. There are people who worked very, very hard in this past election cycle to get Donald Trump elected in every state in the country. Those people are not done organizing. There are organizations. Scott Pressler in Pennsylvania is one of them, and he works closely with other organizations. And I'm not going to spill the beans because I don't want to, warn Senator Ernst that this might be coming. But let it be a warning, quite honestly, to anyone in red states who think that they can walk this line. Posture, maybe. Does Joni Ernst want this position for herself? Maybe. Is that why she's going to tank Pete Hegseth? She will be primaried. And the organizations that are getting together and putting people on the ground to fight this kind of rhino Republican, they're working hard. And they're not going to stop just because the election is over. All right, when we come back, more on the news of the day and Michael Patrick Leahy.